If you're dealing with a high cost per call, I'm going to show you exactly what to do to drop that cost per call by 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x in this video, step by step. My name is Seech, and I know what I'm talking about because I manage over 7 figures in spend per month profitably, and I work with some of the biggest name coaches, info product owners, B2B companies, agencies, SaaS, and real estate funds in their respective industries, all household names that you would know. And I got a big old case study document below in the description that you can click on if you want to check those out. But anyways, let's talk about how to drop your cost per call here. So this is going to be a very quick video because it's very actionable. And to drop your cost per call, you need to focus on one thing, and that one thing is gathering data. So if your cost per call is high, there's some sort of choke point in your funnel. There's some sort of bottleneck in your funnel that you need to solve for. There's something that's holding up that growth and that scale. So what do we need to do? We first need to gather the key metrics that make up that funnel. So for example, say you're running, in this case, because we're talking about dropping your cost per call, a VSL call funnel with no opt-in, okay? So you just basically drive traffic from the ad over to a VSL page with an application and a scheduler. And then from there, you drive them over to a confirm page. Then you can drive them into, some email flows, have the sales process there, like follow up and stuff like that from your setters or closers. Then you got the sales call. And then of course, you can have follow up after that. But let's say that's essentially the funnel that you're running right now. And what you need to do is go and gather data on the key metrics. So first we start from click to close, by the way. We gather data from click to close. So first is unique click-through rate. Go gather that. Then is your CPMs. Then is your application percentage. So out of the unique page views, the unique people that landed on that page, how many actually filled out an application? At scale, we like to see this be anywhere from 3.5% up to 6% plus. Then we have booked call percentage, which is again, the amount of page views that actually booked a call. Then we have, of course, our cost per call that we can have there as a metric. Then we have our show rate as a percentage, so how many people actually showed up to the sales calls that booked. The qualified rate, out of the ones that showed up and speak to the sales team, how many were actually qualified. That is a percentage. So we want this to be as low as possible because we want MQLs to be as close to SQLs as possible. And then, of course, we have close rate. And then also, I like to see AOV and then ROAS. Now, quick thing. If your cost per call is high in your mind and your ROAS is positive, like a 3x plus, guess what you should be doing? You shouldn't be launching any crazy split tests. You should be shoveling money into the system and scaling the shit out of it, okay? But anyways, let's just say that in this case, your ROAS is low, all right? Your ROAS is not 3x, okay? What you need to be doing is gathering all of this data here. And then from there, what we essentially do is we go and we find the choke point. So we find out of all these metrics, which one is the easiest to 2x to 4x at any given time? What is the easiest to cut in half, cut by 3x, cut by 4x, etc. And then we go all in on that. That's all you're trying to do. Most people, when they see their cost per call is low, they just immediately randomly blame something. They're like, oh, it's the funnel, or oh, it's the creative, right? And they don't actually look at all the stats that make up these things. So from here, say for example, the click-through rate's 1.7%. I'm just gonna make up a bunch of stuff. The CPMs are 110 bucks. The application rate is 2%. Book call rate is 1.8%. Cost per call, let's say, is $398 or something. Show rate is 67%. Qualified rate is 71%. Close rate is 18%. AOV 3.5K. And we're just saying a negative ROAS in this case. Let's just say 0.7x, right? Just making up these numbers, okay? So if we look at all these numbers, okay, cool. Click-through rate, sure. Could we work on it and get it up to 2%? Yeah. Is it the highest leverage activity rate now? No, right? We want to find things that we can easily, and in a lazy manner, just 2x, 3x, 4x plus. That's going to unlock scale. CPMs, could we get them below 100 bucks, to 80 bucks and making some better ads? Sure. Is that a big bottleneck right now? No. Okay. Let's look at the application rate, 2%. That's freaking low. Let's keep that on our radar, all right? So that's a low one right there. Book call rate, that's also low because it's a function of the application rate, right? If less people are going through the application, less people are gonna book. So our cost per call is effectively high because of these things. Our show rate, sure, 67% is, average. Like you can get this thing up to 70, 75, 80% with the right backend systems, but is it a huge bottleneck right now? No. Qualified rate, sure, could we get this up to 80? Yeah, but it's not really a huge bottleneck right now. Close rate, can we get this above 20%? Yeah, not big bottleneck right now. AOV, say our offer is 5K, so our team's just like slinging some more payment plans. Can we get that up some more? Sure, but again, not a big bottleneck. Our ROAS is a function of all of this above here. That is low. So once we fix things upstream here, it's going to flow downstream to fix our ROAS. But essentially what we do here is we just identified the bottleneck. So we actually know what's affecting our cost per call right now because we pulled the data and we looked at this. So I like to pull anywhere from 30-day data to about 14-day data. If you only have like 7 days, like totally cool. You know, if I launched, for example, a big split test 7 days ago, I'm gonna look at the 7-day data versus like the 30-day data. At that point, it just depends when you're launching these big tests and everything and what you're doing within the ad account. But essentially from here, once we identified the bottleneck, like in this case, it is the application rate, we then go to the sub statistics of the application rate. So from there, we have, you know, application completion percentage. We could even look at like VSL play rate to see if people are actually watching it and getting like enticed enough to fill out the application, you know, VSL engagement rate. We could look at like page load speed, like maybe our page is just loading super slow so people are bouncing off of that, right? So we look at all these other sub metrics that could basically affect the application rate. One of the main key metrics of the funnel, the overarching metrics, right? We gather the overarching metric first, then we drill down once we find the one that we're actually trying to solve and fix. And then from there say, okay, cool, our application completion rate here is like 20%. That's super low. We know we can 2x to 3x that one. And then what do you do there? You make a plan for that. So maybe we look at our application, we're like, yeah, our application has 11 questions. Do we use all these 11 questions in our sales process? No. So therefore, we can just say, all right, we're gonna slash half of our questions, or we're gonna bring it down to like 3 to 4 questions that we actually use. We're gonna run that test for 3 to 4 days and see if that fixes our application rate. If it doesn't, then we look at the other metrics and stuff like that. So that's all you're trying to do. When your cost per call is high, or your cost per result, your cost per purchase, whatever it is, you need to model out the funnel. You need to sit down, gather data, 7-day, 14-day, 30-day data, and see what the bottleneck is. And then once you find which one of these key metrics is the bottleneck here, we then just drill down on the actual sub-metrics that make up that key metric, okay? If it was show rate, for example, here, let's say that we identified that show rate was our big bottleneck and big issue. It could be, all right, what are our setter touch points? Like how many times are we actually reaching out to prospects before the call? What are our setters actually saying? Our email flows, do we actually have them? And if you do have them, what are they saying? What is the deliverability health on the email flows? Are they landing in spam? Are they actually getting open? Is our open rate low? Is the bounce rate high, etc.? How's our connection rate on the phone to the new leads that come through the funnel? Can we actually reach them? Are we reaching them, 3% of the time? Are we reaching them 30, 40, 50, 60% of the time? Right? Are we hitting them with strategic content before the actual call? Are we sending them assets before the call? Do we have the right confirmation page after they book that can really accelerate the research process? All this stuff, right? That's all you're really trying to do. When your cost per call is high or your cost per result is high, you need to sit there, gather data, look at the metric that you can actually solve quickly, 2x, 3x, 4x it, and that's how you unlock that bottleneck and you unlock scale. Once you fix something, by the way, at the top of the funnel, like if we fix something over here in application rate, it could affect all the things downstream as well. So that's why we continuously, every single week, gather data on all of our client accounts and all of our client funnels and sit down and make plans like this to say, okay, cool, what is the bottleneck that we need to solve for? What are the steps we're gonna take to solve that bottleneck? And there you go. That's how you scale. And if you want us to do all this for you, you can click down in the description below. There's an application and a full page that breaks down our entire done for you offer. And if you want to learn how to do this yourself, we also have a program that'll help you 3 to 5x your ad spend in the next 90 days while doing it profitably, hitting a 3x ROAS minimum in that time frame. So we have 2 options for you, done with you and a done for you program. And if you just want to sit here on YouTube and grab some sauce, totally cool as well. Drop a follow and a subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video to show you how to scale your ads and funnels and break past that couple $100 a day wall so you can start scaling profitably into the $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 plus per day in ad spend mark. Peace.